Hi, this is Cheryl back with you from Farmhouse Frugally. So you might have seen a couple weeks ago when Ed and I went to the church bazaar. They were selling everything so cheap. I picked up these two stools for $1 each. And you see these everywhere, probably even on the side of the road. So if you have one and you don't mind using power tools or getting someone to help you, go ahead and cut that in half so that you have the maybe 3 or 4 inches after the rung on the top part of the stool. Thank God my husband did that for me. The top of this was a little bit shiny, so I went ahead and I took a 60 grit. And I went with my orbital sander all around and made that nice and sanded to get all of that shine off all the way around the top and the edges. And then I did hit, I probably didn't have to, but I did hit the base of the stool as well, recognizing that at once upon a time it might have been black underneath. And then obviously concentrating on what is now the feet, because he had cut that as a blunt edge. And then I went ahead with a much finer 220 sandpaper and sanded the whole thing nice and smooth until it was soft to the touch, and then wiped that all down with a rag. And then I took my tape, my painter's tape, and I taped off the entire edge because I wanted to keep the seat a natural color. And I used a Rust-Oleum black primer and paint in one. Unfortunately, satin was the only finish I had, but I went ahead and painted the base all in black, keeping the top neutral. Then I went upstairs, brought it up out to the deck, and took my black folk art chalk paint and a little what do they call those spongy little thing that you get at the dollar store? And I taped off some stripes using a measuring tape. And I went ahead and you just lightly pounce up and down. You want to make sure that you just pounce so you don't get it leaking through the tape. And after that was done, I moved it over and did another one. And so I was trying to get the effect of 2 grain sack stripes kind of toward the edges, because I did want the center to be free, because I'm trying to use these IOD stamps that you've seen me use recently, and I have been dying to use this B one. And so I decided to use the same ink, instead of ink, to use the same black chalk paint. And it didn't come out as dark as I would have liked, a little bit harder than it looks to use with paint, much easier with ink. But I was going to sand the whole thing over anyways to make it look a little bit more worn. So I did take a fine grit sandpaper and sanded the whole thing, and you can see the black dust everywhere. So then I went and took a rag and I wiped that down as good as I could, just a dry rag, to get all that off and make it look like it's been worn. And then I used my Rust-Oleum clear coat in a matte finish, and I sprayed that with 2 coats outside, and then when that was dry, brought that in the house. So here is what it looks like in my kitchen in the corner. And then I put it with all of my other farmhouse things to be sold. Now, next step, what am I going to do with the base of that stool? We don't want to throw that piece away, so here's an idea. I just took a piece of wood. I wish I had barn board, but here's a piece of wood just sitting on top of it for now. I haven't cleaned it. I haven't fastened it, but I thought that that would be an awesome small table on the side of the couch or out on the deck. If you have a covered porch, put a plant on it. I mean, there's any number of things that you can do with it. Hope I've inspired you. Please give me a thumbs up and share with someone you think might enjoy these videos. And I will see you soon. I have an amazing garden gate that I'm working on. Thanks for stopping by.